Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody, and a warm welcome to our 27th webinar, which means if I was just thinking that we do this every 2 months, so which means six in a year. So we must have done this like 4 years in a row, so we haven't paused at all, like it's been going on for last I think 4 or more than that years. So we'll continue like this. You can imagine the topics that we have had, all along. And I know many of you do come, every bi-monthly webinar. So I really want to thank all of you, those who have been regularly coming, because that really inspires us to say that, yeah, there is some value add that is happening. Hence, people are coming and attending. What I'll do is I'll like spend 5-10 minutes to quickly take you through what we do. Some of you are very new. I know I can see from the name, so you should know what work we do, and also give a small introduction about myself. I don't come from a training background or HR background from the beginning. I am a computer engineer by qualification. Did a lot of IT work. Started in a manufacturing plant in Mahindra and Mahindra in Mumbai. That time I used to work on IBM machines, the large mainframes, and then went to US, lived there for 6 years, moved to Oracle Technologies, moved back to India and was in Wipro for a very long time. I was there for 15 years. And during that period, our chairman had, Azim Premji had created an award called the Best People Manager Award, which was given to people who were good at managing people. And this topic that you're going to listen to me today is very dear to my heart. Building high performing teams in changing times. And when I say changing times, is it is more complicated now to inspire people compared to what it was maybe 20 years ago when I was at Wipro, because that time the uncertainty was not so much. You could give people a longer commitment, even if there was not enough profits, you still were holding on to people. Now everything is getting, measured in a very deep lens. So while you can't change the market conditions, but how do you as a leader still manage to, keep your teams inspired and high performing? So after that, I got the award from Premji. Premji asked us to go and speak in the leadership programs. What are your best people practices? And like me, we were 20 of us, so we started going to those sessions and started sharing those best people practices. So the trainer who would be there in the classroom would say that, whatever you are sharing is also being researched by Richard Boyd or Annie McKay. And I would always, like to read books from my childhood. So I would borrow the books, and I started seeing that there is so much of psychology that is available, which, we are not using in our business. So I started borrowing the books and reading, and I started making, bringing a lot of psychology in the classroom session. So it was a deadly combination because I was still in business. So how do you bring business and psychology together? And that is where, and no looking back, meaning people started liking my session. So I don't know in your organization, but generally in business reviews, people get beaten up for their numbers. And here people were clapping. So I was thinking it's good once in a 15 days to get appreciated and not get beaten up for your numbers. So I started doing more and more, and then I got the award one more time, which nobody had got it twice. So then my video was shot, and I almost became a very close, dear business leader for the leadership department. So they would invite me, and I used to go. And one day, our head of HR said that, "Why don't you move into the leadership department?" And I remember, that when I first came in, I was trying to see what is the impact we are creating, and I saw that no impact can happen, overnight. It really needs, longer approach. It needs, people's time to spend, because all of us, like today, we are almost 47 people on the call here, So the way Richa thinks, because she was born and brought up in a certain place, compared to what Sandeep thinks, to what Anila thinks, all will be different. Yeah. But in a place today where you can, after COVID, get talent from all over the world. How do you understand? And with that, I think, no looking back, it was 7 years I did that in Wipro. And I'll just quickly show you our website so you'll get an idea of how we operate. So if you look at the website here, you will see that we are talking about really longer term journey. We are talking about leadership at all levels. We are talking about transformation. So essentially, when we work with our clients, we look at how does the mindset alignment happen. So if you see any organization, you essentially would need two axes here. One is the success level of any organization, and other is the journey of any organization. So if you look at this slide, we hire people from all over the country, and I'm giving you this context so that you get an idea about the thinking process and how the webinar will also run. So everybody comes with their own mindset, and there is an hybrid culture that gets created, and you get a certain result. But when you look at the intervention, you look at their immunities to change, look at what are they made up of, and try to bring an alignment that gives you an aligned culture. And that's the starting point of any journey that we do. Now, if you look at any organization, right, you would need three things. You would need customer, you would need talent, you would need execution. So if you look at customers, we have programs, all around customer. How do you do consultative selling? How do you do negotiation? How do you persuade the client? How do you grow accounts? Talent, we have got programs to really look at how do you develop people in a systematic manner. How do you use humble inquiry? How do you do career conversation? And then finally, execution. And to do that, I think all these kinds of arrangements we have, like classroom sessions, case studies, assessment, involvement of supervisor. So when you get a chance, you can take a look at this. But essentially, to bring this to life, this is our general approach. So we have got programs like for all levels. We've got program for senior, mid, associate, and campus hires. And each of these levels, we do different types of programs. So for a senior leadership, we would maybe look at change agility, strategy, mid-level. So there are, like, you can, once you go through the website, you can see that. And we look at four facets of leadership, self, team, operational, organization. And we run it in a journey format, which means every month there are workshops, and then there is a dedicated mentor who works with them to apply it in real life. And then we continue like month on month, and we invite the leaders to come and talk to them. We do the review with the HR. So it's a very beautiful transformation journey that we run. So we are in this space for about 10 years now. So we've done hundreds of journeys, and we continue to help our clients with this. I think this was like broadly, and I just quickly give you one slide and then we can proceed. So here is some detailing of what are the type of programs. So we essentially have got four programs: Senior Leaders Program, Emerging Leaders Program, Foundation, and Campus Leaders Program. And each of these levels, you can see the topics are very relevant to that level, which you can explore. And you can see the detailing here about the program below. So that also will help you. All our webinars that you are currently witnessing will get uploaded on this site. So if you go to the buzz here, you can see the different webinar that has happened in the past. So if you like, you can go and take a look at them if you want to take a look at them. We also invite some experts at times. So we've invited Ramesh Dorairaj, who is an expert in sales. We invited Harish. So like that, we also invite experts at time. Nisha also is one of our facilitator who was with me in one of the webinars. So you can take a look at this when you get a chance. So let me now jump on to our topic for today, which is building high performing teams. So I'll again take a pause. I mean, I'll unmute you guys to ask any questions, or at times I'll also ask you to reflect. Yeah. So this topic is quite important. I think it has been there forever. Like team management, collaboration are very hot topics in every domain, every organization. But the important time is in changing times, because now I think, as I was saying that, and I want to bring in some of my very old experiences, where I think at one point of time, at even while we were in Wipro, there was no problem if there was people sitting on bench or they were waiting for projects. But today, I think companies just can't afford to have people on bench. If they can't make money, they ask them to go. And so, the same team who, you know, you hired and you really nurtured them, and suddenly you have to ask them to go. So there is a amount of fear factor that gets into our mind, and it's all over in the environment. The amount of news that you see every day, that this company is laying off or this company is getting closed, and so it's quite scary when you see all that, and yet you need to perform because customers are demanding. The whole environment is constantly there, whether it is a geopolitical issue, whether there is a war that is happening that will impact the import of food grain, or there is a visa issue where there is a lot of regional tendency of a lot of countries. So you see country after country is wanting to make it even difficult to operate. Yeah, so can't help that. But in that context, how do you still operate is the thinking around that. So I just want to narrate a very interesting, I mean, story, metaphor, whatever you may call it, but it's very nice to think about it. So there is a nice reunion of an engineering batch, and everybody thought that we will go in a very beautiful resort. And I was recently, I mean, last week, I was in Rishikesh, and if you go top in the Rishikesh, there are some very beautiful resorts. Even Dehradun itself, the route that you go to Rishikesh itself is so lush green. So in one of those places, they decide to do the reunion, and the time is at 7 o'clock, and everybody is asked to be there at 7 o'clock so that we can have a great time. Now there are two friends, Ramesh and uh, Lokesh, who are also wanting to be there, but they get little late doing their shopping in the city, and they are rushing towards the venue, which is in the middle of the jungle, and it's a very beautiful resort. So somehow they reach little late, so they reach there by about 7:30 or so, and they are like gasping and holding on their breath. And as they enter the room, they see that a lot of people are surrounding 2 3 of their friends, their colleagues, and they're wondering what are they looking at. Everybody surrounding these 2 3 people, and what are they watching. So they try to peep into that, and they see that these 3 people are showing some very beautiful flowers, and these flowers can actually, change colors, every 45 to 60 seconds. It was so fascinating, to see how the, flower is changing the color every 60 seconds. And then one of the guys also shows a flower which has a very sparkling diamond type thing coming inside the flower. And these guys are also very fascinated to see that, that how come these people have, where did they get these flowers and all that? And they ask, after everybody's seen that, to these 3 people, where did you get this? And they say that it's in the same jungle, in the same route that you came. And then suddenly these two people started to think, that how come we missed those beautiful flowers or beautiful diamond like thing, that these people have found that. And then they realized that, yeah, I think we were so much in the rush to come to that venue that we just didn't look at anywhere around. Now, if you, as a leader, if you look at and start to use this story to see for yourself, that how much rush are you into every day? Are you able to see the teams around you? Are you able to see the diamonds around you? Like Nupur is one diamond that we just got yesterday, for example. So am I into that rush to really not see that? And that also needs pausing to listen to people, see what concerns they have. And I'm going to bring Amy Edmondson's research called psychological safety is another very important element for leadership. So with this story, if you really look at, if I'm becoming more mindful, and that's a very foundational element of leadership when you want to build high performing team, because you're going to deal with, a lot of people, around you, and everybody's personality gets shaped by many things, so the environment where I think uh, people get born. So, somebody who is from Kerala is so different than somebody who's from Punjab, for example, there, even the physiological setup, the genes are different, because over the generations, the genes have a certain way to respond to the environment, and then their own cognition. So imagine we have our own, like I was born and brought up in Mumbai, then I am now in Hyderabad. I studied, I was in US. I have a very different way of thinking. But today, after COVID, we are hiring people from all over the country, and we are working so much of remote. So this particular three elements have to be kept in mind as a leader, that everybody comes with their own environment. So unless I stop in the jungle, unless I go slow, unless I pause and see around me, I would not be able to see the benefit of that are coming. And I'm going to introduce you to a very interesting model, as we go along in the journey. And that model will also bring you to this aspect of our own thinking around that. And many a times leaders, also have certain preferences of what they expect from people or what they are seeing from people. But can I, appreciate that everybody comes with their own experience, and we are all products of our experience. So can I respect that background from which they are coming from, and slowly start to work on their cognition, which means that if I start working with people in a certain way, eventually they also start changing the way they respond to me. And I know these has some amount of psychological. So there are some very nice webinars that I've done in the past. So one of them I always encourage people to look at is the Leading with Emotional Intelligence webinar, in which I talk about where does our thinking come from? What is the limbic system? What is prefrontal cortex? Why do I behave in certain way? Yeah. So this is just to give you the idea that it's not just about giving instructions. It is also about appreciating where people are coming from, where I am coming from, and how do I really ensure that that thinking is there. So some of the foundation, one question I want to ask you all, and then I can also open up, unmute for yourself. Just take a minute, and I think what comes to your mind when you look at these three terms, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. Yeah, what do you think comes to your mind when you see this? I'll just try to unmute yourself, so you can also unmute and talk. So I'll allow you to unmute. So if you can maybe unmute, you can raise your Richa, please, if you can. I know I can see the. That's a nice idea to raise the hand so I can see the. Yeah, please, Richa.
So Yogesh, collaboration, I think, is where you're creating something new, where people are not just doing their part, but actually, the parts are the sum of the parts is more than the parts itself. So
Yeah.
collaboration is where you have actually connected and with the ideas and you're creating something new. People are going beyond the defined roles. Cooperation is where they are still, I feel, where they are still open, they're helping each other, they're going beyond. But if I'm helping you also in doing your work, but there is nothing new being created. And coordination is we're working like a well-oiled machine, but still in the processes. I mean, that's my limited understanding.
No, no, Bilkul, I think very nice. I think, yeah, we will just hear some very, very good. I think very nice. Yeah. Priyanka? Yeah.
Yeah, when I look at these three word coordination, cooperation, and collaboration, what comes to my mind is teamwork.
Teamwork. But what is the distinction between the three words?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. So, coordination is when you mutually agree. I mean, when you bring up your coordinative thought process to, yes, I have to work towards and work with this person, that's coordination. Cooperation is when I make conscious efforts to work with somebody. Collaboration is when we mutually agree to a point, when planning and everything, strategizing is done, then we start working. That's collaboration. That's what I can understand.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hema. You want to share something? I can see as I'm seeing the hands raising. I'm just calling out the names. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, so I just put it in two buckets. Collaboration has got empathy as well as an understanding. It's a
Yes.
compen it's a what do you call the Venn diagram. If I put coordination and the cooperation, the common field is collaboration. Coordination and cooperation has a distinctive non-element of empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
So that's
Very nice. So, Emma, as you guys are answering, right, I want all of you guys to start thinking, that in our day-to-day life or in our organization, what are we doing? Are we just coordinating? And Richa, I think, really gave a great answer. That is true. That I think coordination is just, someone. And I was in, Rishikesh last week, and you guys would have seen the Uttarakhand situation, and I was in middle of that, and the hotel that we went in, obviously there was issue with the staff, there was issue with, I think, the roads that were doing. I could literally see how these guys were really not just cooperating, coordinating, they were actually collaborating, meaning the guy who was in the main front desk also was seen in the, in the restaurant sometime in the evening. He was there helping with some of the cleaning stuff. I could see, with a very limited staff, how they were handling those situations. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, Senthil and Sunny, anything more that you want to add to what Richa and Hema already and Priyanka had said? Yeah, Senthil.
Yeah, I think they have explained, but there is a, I mean, the important difference is, when they wanted to make something different, to do something in the deep work where there is no clarity, but still,
Yeah.
we wanted to work together and achieve something. That
Yes.
collaboration really required.
Yes.
And of course, understanding each other is really key because we want to achieve together something where there is no clarity.
Yes. Yes.
Coordination is very structured, but the outcome may not be great. But
Yes.
even if there is no structure in collaboration, but the
Yes.
collaboration is very well, then the outcome will be phenomenal. Yeah.
Lovely, very nice. So while I think we could understand the meaning from Richa, and I think Professor Sandeep, if you also want to add something, please.
Yeah, so I think the meanings have been covered already. I just wanted to kind of give a little different viewpoint, inside out versus outside in.
Mm,
Um, Really, collaboration starts to happen when we start thinking outside in from the needs or the objectives of the organization
mm,
backwards to the team and the individual.
yeah.
But in reality, it's the opposite. We see a lot of I, me, myself. In fact,
Yes.
almost in 50% of my client mandates, I still hear the statement in 2025, our
Yeah.
people are working in silos.
Yeah.
Some merger and acquisition has happened, our people are working in silos.
Yeah.
Or it's just a large organization, our people are working in silos. And internally, I smile because it kind of gives enough of work in the learning and OD space for us to go forward. But
Yeah.
I would say that these three happen in descending order of percentages. So we see a lot of coordination, some amount of cooperation, and very little collaboration. And perhaps there lies the potential for professionals like us to
Yes.
hopefully change the world and make it a better place. So I'll
Exactly.
stop there.
Very nice, Professor Sandeep. Yeah, Sunny, you want to share before I take?
Yes, so a lot has been shared with respect to definition and the understanding. I was just able to visualize when you were saying your hotel and all those examples. So I just wanted to give one example if it adds to it. So coordination, so just like visualizing if there are two neighbors. So coordination is more about if one of my neighbor is not there, he
Mm,
asks me, okay, can you just look at my home when I'm not there? So
mm,
I'm just coordinating with respect to the territory, but I'm not doing anything for his
yes.
role. So for his role, I'm just overwatching. There's more of a
Yeah.
coordination. But
Yeah.
my job remains the same, his job remains same. Cooperation is when we both decide to help each other out. And there is
Mm,
some shared ownership and accountability happening. And
yes.
this happens like on Mondays, I'll water the garden.
Yes.
Tuesdays, you water the garden, and we start sharing some part of the responsibility and accountability. So
Yes.
this is where work is equally divided. We both have doing everything, and there is a set of cooperation happening. Then
Yes.
collaboration is like we get into a more of a bigger vision and
Yes.
with a shared goals that no, your garden is my garden also,
Very nice.
and we can instead of having roses in both the side, why not have something unique in the combined garden, so that
Very
we can increase the size of the garden and we can have different fruits, different vegetables, and we both can reap benefit of the
lovely.
bigger garden there. Yeah,
Lovely,
that's
very nice. Thank you, Sunny. I think I know you, some of you who would have attended earlier webinar, we have this virtual clapping. So we'll clap for all those who have shared that. Yeah. So that's a very nice way to clap. So I think, but many a time we think that we are collaborating, but actually we are merely coordinating and cooperating. So the idea was that for each one of us to go back and see for our own organization in our own team that you're leading, that how are we doing that part. Yeah. So if you look at, I think these are statistics available on, I mean, I don't need to really bring the importance of collaboration or high performance, but I think you will see percentage after percentage how people find the workplace to be more satisfying, the increase in productivity, increasing sales. So these are very nice number, creating a very powerful case for that. So I'll quickly take you through a couple of case studies, and Mahesh is our character today. So there are Mahesh, Dinesh, and I think one more Suresh. There are three characters in our journey today, and if you'll see that, I think Mahesh has been, he's taken a charge of a new, territory with a mix of freshers and some of the transferred employees from other group, and who have worked in other managers under the team. And Mahesh was very excited to bring these people together, and as soon as he got them together, he started giving the task to them, setting the targets, and so that quickly we can start getting results. But Mahesh, whatever he was thinking actually didn't happen the way he planned. So very soon, I think there were some small subgroups that got formed, who had worked together in the past, and somewhere they were finding it not as comfortable working. There were a lot of delays because everybody had their own styles of working, and many new employees who were not included were unsure how to contribute, as they did not know which style should they adopt. There was a lot of commotion in the team, and like very soon, I think some of the people started going back to their earlier managers, and saying, "Okay, bhai, can I come back to my earlier project, or I want to get out of this project?" So there were a lot of this, commotions that was happening. And if you were in Mahesh's place, or if you were to advise Mahesh, what would be your advice? And what's the best way to unite the team to build the trust back? And how do you create a shared purpose? And what could we have done differently? Now, if this was a regular session, a 1 day session, I would have facilitated this with all of you. But since we really have we have to finish all of this in next 40-45 minutes, I will not ask many questions, but I'll tell you that what is happening here is that Mahesh really went too fast and starting the work with the team. He really didn't understand the team well. He assumed that, I think, all of them have come together, so he quickly formed the team, started working with them. But what he could have really done is he could have used this model instead. So this is, you're calling it as professional Toli. And Toli in Mumbai means gang, if you guys know. But here Toli is an acronym. Yeah, and I'm putting the word professional because it is not that underworld Toli. This is like a professional Toli. Yeah, so that is how it is. So even before you start with Toli, I think the first thing is about ground zero. When we say ground zero, is that I think what are we doing with these people when they come, right? So as I was telling, right, in the first slide about environment, our own physiology, our own cognition. So what Mahesh should have done is that he should have at least met with each of these people individually to really, take away all their apprehensions, because people would have been working with certain managers. So, for example, if I am very comfortable working with Ashok and suddenly I am put under Padma, so I think I always will want to be like Ashok, or Padma's style is very different than Ashok. And if Padma can spend time with me saying that, although my style is different than Ashok, but I have been also in this space and I would be really wanting your support to make this a grand success. And if anytime you see that in me, you let me know. So all their apprehensions or their inhibitions has to be first taken care. That is the starting point. And you can see this picture, right? Which means that we have beautifully put a picture of saying that you will get people from all over the country, in fact, all over the world. So, are you able to handle that part? So, we'll go through this in a systematic manner, one after another. So, we'll start with like, how do you start with ground zero? How do you build trust with the team before the team starts working, during the working that is happening? Because this high performance can go down anytime if you're not careful about that. How organized are you? So people sometimes, I am not doing this, I mean, this model is not so much on the motivational side of high performance. We are more focusing on the day-to-day working, which means that if you're not organized, like for example, Nupur has just joined us, and if she is not able to find the information, if she's not able to work with the team organized, there will be low performance. So are we organized for high performance? Are we leveraging the traits and talents of all the team? So I always tell this example of when I was in Wipro, I had a team in Gurgaon and I had a team in Chennai, and this is a very interesting experience I had. So and nothing, I'm not stereotyping, but I'm just giving you what I experienced. So whenever I used to go to Gurgaon, and I usually would go once in a quarter, and I would go out for dinner with the team. And just that in Gurgaon, that I had to ask the team at 9 o'clock, boss, when is the plan to go out for dinner? And they'll say, yeah, we'll go, no problem. They'll start at 9:30, we'll finish dinner at 11:30. Then they will come and drop me at the hotel and stay there in the reception for about an hour or so. And 1 o'clock, they'll go to their places. Yeah. Many of my team members. But when I went to, I think, Chennai, many a times people who are very preferring to, finish off dinner earlier, so that at 7 they would come and ask me, sir, when is the we'll have to go for team dinner. Now, nothing wrong or right in this, but I'm saying just the diversity of people's preferences. And this is just, I'm talking about team dinner, but the same thing will get reflected in the working style, the commitment towards work. And when I say commitment, is delivering the same thing in a certain time frame, or ensuring that there will be gap in the way they communicate. So are you able to use that diverse trait, and not get too attached to a particular way of working? And that is very important. Last is that I think constantly there has to be an inspiration to people. People should really feel that I think I am enjoying the work when I come every day. So are you able to inspire the team every day? So it's a very beautiful model, and we will go through step by step in this model and using the case study and what we learned. So let's look at how do you set the stage and manage apprehensions and inhibitions. If you really look at it, we are talking about accepting the people in their context, which is very important. So I remember that even today, whenever I hire somebody, or I am getting somebody new in the team, I try to understand where they are coming from, and what is the change that they will go through. So whether I am sending them to a assignment that is not comfortable to them, or I am giving them new technology, I am sending them to the new environment, and value them. So in the context of what they are bringing, am I able to create that value? Because if I go back to the first part of our physiology and our cognition and our environment, I might have a certain liking for certain way of working, but everybody adds value. But are we able to see that value? Are you able to stop in the jungle and see that value they are creating, and then create a very psychological safe environment? And psychological safety has become a very popular term, and I always recommend books in my webinar. So you all should read this book by Amy Edmondson, called The Fearless Organization. It's very beautiful. And this is what she defines, Amy Edmondson, the fearless organization, that, it's an environment where people feel very safe to speak up. They are able to comfortably take risk. They don't really get worried about the punishment. And if you read this book, she brings in very interesting concepts that I think by the time the lower people, in the sense the people who are directly working with the customer and the issues that they are facing, and they share with the higher up, and by the time it goes to the top, only 25 to 30% of the real problem goes up, because everybody is very worried that if I give the bad news, I will get beaten up for that, and that is where psychological safety plays. And I am saying that, this is not that any leader does it on purpose, but the jungle story that you remember, if I'm an employee and I'm speaking, like, say for example, if say Sunny is my manager, and I am wanting to speak to something to Sunny, and Sunny is in a rush, he's not even listening to me. That might create my own judgment about this place. I'll say, boss, I don't know whether Sunny even bothers to look at my issues. Yeah, and that is where the unsafe environments are created. And then what happens is that one employee goes and talks to another employee, and he kind of says to them that, yeah, this is a place. That is where the unsafe environment start building up. So very important for us to create, because it matters, because it kind of kills innovation. People are not then wanting to even try something new. So even when they are seeing that this particular change is going to help my customer, they are saying, yeah, why should I even say, and they don't want to learn anything new. They want to just do maintain the status quo, because they're very worried that the moment, and I'm talking about high performance. Yeah, so high performance will come when people are wanting to share. They are honest about what they are experiencing. They trust that if I share something with Hema Malini, I think she will honor whatever I am sharing and go back and tell to the right people, and not use that in any other form. That's the safety that they create. And I think when you look at an environment like this, what you see is that they are all like very open in asking question, where, and as a leader in your own organization, I think tomorrow itself, I think you should try this. You should ask your team member before you start any meeting that, I'm really open to listening to you guys. And you really have to genuinely practice this, because it should not happen that you start off with this and anybody gives an idea and immediately you silence them. Like today morning, I just returned from Rishikesh yesterday, and I was really caught up with lot of stuff today. And one of our employees was really waiting for me to share a new approach to drive our Skillsoft department. And while I could see that whatever she was sharing will not work at all, because we have tried this in the past, but I didn't silence her, because I could see her enthusiasm. And although I was too much in rush preparing for today's webinar also, but I took 10 minutes to quickly tell her, and I kind of skipped my lunch time to do a very short lunch and use that, because I feel that that one, like 3 4 days she was waiting for to share with me, because in her mind, she's equally worried about increasing the sale in the department, and how she was enthusiastically sharing, but she could not really understand the architecture of our channel partner business. And when I explained it, she got it. Now many times as a leader you will face that, you've really got less time, you got too much under pressure, you're running in the jungle to go to the alumni meet, but can you hold on? And there is a big role of leader that happens in that. Yeah, so once you have like set the stage, right, you set the stage, and you're like you want to now build the trust with the team. So what will help build the trust is the next model, and I'm right now not taking pause too much. I will take pause after some time because I'm really cognizant of the time here and I have to cover quite a bit. So, trust is something that is a very fuzzy topic, and it can break any time, but to build takes time. And the starting point, and I thought is a very beautiful way, is our age-old Johari window, which I think most of you would have experienced it in your MBAs or in your sessions, and it continues to be a most fascinating, framework for me. So those who have not seen this yet, there are four windows. There is something that is known to self and known to others, which are like something that open. So if I know that, I prefer, because I come from an army background and I prefer to, get everybody on time. And everybody knows that. So they never get upset if I get upset for they coming late, which is something that I've shared with people. And there is something hidden, which is known to me, but unknown to others, because I feel very uncomfortable sharing, hence I'm hiding that fact about myself. Now, this is very important, and you all should connect whatever I'm sharing with what you saw earlier, which means that the psychological safety is also very important element here. And the third is like unknown to self but known to others. And I very humorously give this example that if you are somebody who snores, your spouse would know, you would not know that you are snoring, for example. But if I am open to listening to my spouse about my snoring, we might find a solution with doing some small correction and removing the snoring part. And then there is one part which is, I mean, not known to others, not known to self, and that is the discovery. So if you look at these four quadrants, and if you look at this four-room apartment, and you see these arrows, that, and this is all available in Wikimedia Commons, you can see that how can I continue to increase my room number one, which is the area that I am like, oh, so when I'm getting a new team member, am I able to share some of my vulnerabilities? I am able to tell them some of the things that will make them very comfortable. And I always feel that just spending time initially with your employees will help them, and that can happen only when you do self-disclosure. So when I disclose something about myself, so for example, when I meet somebody and I tell them that I come from Mumbai and I've got two sons and my spouse and things like that, they also start sharing. And when they start sharing, and I give you many examples of my employees telling me about their family, and in the conversation, they also said to me that my mom is going through a cancer chemotherapy, and every day morning I have to go and take her to the doctor for chemotherapy. Now here is a beautiful opportunity for you to give the employees an opportunity. And I was giving you this example where I told the new employee in Wipro that, would you like to take the UK shift instead of the morning shift? And he said, why? I said, yeah, because then you don't have to rush in the morning. You can take your mother to chemotherapy and then come at 12:30. It doesn't matter. This is fantastic. Now imagine if if I had not done this part, which I had not opened myself, and if I had not known about, his mother's chemo, I would have put him in the morning shift, and that would have impacted the performance, because he would always be rushing to office to get it done. Yeah. So this is a very beautiful, way to open that up. And then there are couple of, I am calling it an infrastructure, which means that, you know, do everybody know about the team structure? When Mahesh did this new program, he was in such a rush that he didn't prepare the team structure. He didn't prepare how the team are going to interact. He did not put together the communication plan. There was no decision matrix defined. There was no common repository. So these are like five things that are like the base for trust, which means that if any of these things are not there, the high performance can go down, which means that if people don't know, in this situation, who is going to make the decision, if at this level, if they don't know anything, they only always rely on the leader. And if the leader is too caught up or is not available, you will start seeing that the performance will go down. Yeah, so that is how the thinking behind this. So, and definitely no assumptions. So I think always clarifying with the people, because if we start creating automatic stories, then I think you will start the function going down. Yeah. So once we have built a psychological safety environment and you have like built trust with this simple Johari, we look at this situation of Mahesh's project, and if you look at, Mahesh and Suresh, so Mahesh, so Suresh is from the products team and he's really sick, and while he has informed Mahesh that he will have to miss the sales meeting, but somehow I think the sales team had logged in. They were waiting for Suresh, and Mahesh forgot to tell them that he will not be available. And when Mahesh was called, he said that yeah, and while he could do that, Mahesh, but he really didn't had the latest presentation, and it was very and Mahesh was not Suresh was not reachable. So although Mahesh could have helped, but I think just because the presentation was not there in the right place, I think the sales team had to really cancel the presentation, and the client really got very upset, and they escalated that to the senior management. And when Suresh returned, Mahesh told him that since you were gone and we didn't had the latest presentation, we had really had a bad impression in terms of the management. Now imagine what would Suresh go through after this, and now what would happen with Mahesh and the sales team. Now, this sounds to be a very basic thing, but I can tell you that a lot of teams, really go down in their performance because they are not organized. And when I say if you're not organized, you will start realizing that, even though team wants to work together as a team, if they are not organized, which means that you have to be knowing, and that infrastructure that I spoke about is very important for you to ensure that all these things are organized. And I'm just giving you these important elements. When we do the actual workshop in a day, what we do is we actually go through in detail, and you can think about that if you're going to run a workshop on this similar lines, that how organized are you, and we give them a couple of scenarios and ask them to reflect, like how much of information that is needed by each group members in the team have known. And I must tell you that whenever we have done that, I think people just rely on their verbal communication or sometimes over, but it's not well organized. And that is where, and we are talking about a time when there will be a situation where a limited set of employees will have to double up of people. We will have to look at cost productivity. We'll have to take up multiple roles, and no longer. And I was giving this example of the Rishikesh. Now imagine the front desk guy didn't know anything about the restaurant or didn't know anything about cleaning. And sometimes I give this example of Cafe Coffee Day also. And if you guys remember, they were the first in India where the roles were completely mixed up. And I know this because one of the first outlet of Cafe Coffee Day was in Wipro campus. And I used to wonder when I used to go that the same guy who is a cashier today was tomorrow taking our order. And third day he was washing the washroom. And fourth day I saw him cleaning the cup and creating, cleaning up the tables for next day. Now I was like, India never happened. Like one guy is on the galla, he will be there forever, like, just taking cash. One guy is only a cleaner, one guy is a waiter, one guy is in the kitchen. But Cafe Coffee Day, Vijay Siddharth completely changed that in India, which means, and now it is amplified. Today it is amplified. Now, if you are not organized, how will do you think in front of the customer, Cafe Coffee Day will function if people don't know where to find the information, where to do that part? Yeah. So, and these are like slowly building blocks. You're looking at ground zero, then you build the trust, then you look at organize, and then I mean, how does it look like? If you look at, and this is a recording that you can see that, on our website later. But when you see that, do look at some of these points and see for yourself in your own organization. Do people know about where to find information? While the fourth point sounds very simple, do you have emergency contact number? And I can tell you so many times in last 10 years we are running our our show, and just because we have everybody's emergency number, there are times when we can reach out to the spouse of a facilitator, or we can reach out to their emergency number to know if there is a situation where we need to contact and their phone is drained out, or they're not reachable, at least we know where they are. So these are some very interesting, simple questions to think about and see that part. Yeah. So this is the second part. And then what happened is, like Mahesh had apologized to the sales team and then said that in future, something like that won't happen, and we will ensure that we are always available to give the demo. But again, there is a situation that happened where Mahesh had a personal emergency and he could not join the sales plan as called, which could happen. So, महेश के लाइफ में बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स है, time to time he goes through such problems. And but there is a guy, so in the sales team they now have got really rapport with Mahesh nicely. So, there is one person in the sales who says that, oh, I know a guy in Mahesh's team, Dinesh. Let's call him and not cancel the demo because maybe he can give the demo. Now, interestingly, Dinesh is somebody new who has just joined in, but Mahesh had not done that ground zero with him. And Dinesh comes from a company in the past where everything has to be taken approval from the manager before they take action. So this guy is saying, Dinesh was, I cannot do the demo. I need Mahesh's approval. Now, a question may come to your mind is that what is wrong in taking approval, which is right. I think we have to take the approval, no problem. But are you creating a psychological safe environment where people are now in collaboration mode? They are saying that, oh, if he's not available, can I take the decision and go ahead and do the demo? So, are we creating an environment where it is approval less and collaborative more? And which definitely I want to share with all of you is that I'm not saying that, we don't want to keep the approval process in the company, but when there is a situation, have you given enough freedom for people to decide and take the thing forward? Yeah. And then I think Mahesh, again, I'm bringing him back and I'm just rushing through a little bit because I want to finish this, my part till 5:15, and then we'll keep like 15-20 minutes. So if you have any questions as we are going through, do keep a note on your notepad and then I'll address or I will have a conversation at the end. So I'll just take 10 more minutes to do that part. But as you can see how I think starting with ground zero to building trust to organizing to leveraging. So here is where Mahesh actually gets promoted, and he has always been in Mumbai, but is now given an additional charge of Chennai location. And when Mahesh had never been to Chennai before, and it was his first time in the career that he will be managing a location with a different team. And I think in his first trip itself, he started to realize that there is so much of different style. The lifestyle is different, and the way he was seeing, in the team in Mumbai, they didn't maybe show the same level of communication enthusiasm, and he was like wondering where to do. And that is where Mahesh realized that I should leverage all types of people because every team has something that they can contribute, and many a times as leaders we don't leverage so much. So that is the third part of our Toli. And you can again take these questions. You can play this webinar on our website and see, can I assess my map of the team that I have, and can I know, who are those people? What are the traits that they bring into my team? And as a leader, if you know all this, right, then you are really in the right way to assign the people the right stuff, So you are basically, and always reflecting on your own mental bias, as I was saying earlier, that since I was, in Hyderabad and I could see my team in Gurgaon, Chennai having, but I always was very conscious about not getting into this bias and ensuring that can I use this, team that I have across in a way, and then also try to keep a backup plan. So many a times, people don't think about that and they get stuck like we saw in case of Dinesh. So imagine if there were 3-4 Dineshes available, somebody would have handle that part. Yeah. And then so we've done everything. Like we started with psychological safety, we built a trust, we now are organized, we are using diverse selling. We are coming to the last part of our Toli model, which is inspiring purpose every day. And many of you would have already got inspired by Simon Sinek. Although nowadays Simon Sinek is not as active, is become a little quiet, but you can see this is a very powerful thing that he has put together, which is we call it as which we call it as golden circle. So which is like always, why before, how and what. So many times we spend enormous amount of time on how to do certain things and what is our product and services. But many times we don't bring in that element of why. And I'm bringing the Rishikesh example now because I saw that in this hotel Pride where I stayed, I think everybody knew the purpose. Meaning they knew that I think our guests are coming from all over the country. They are coming in a time when I think suddenly the nature is not supporting. So, but we need to ensure that our guests go back with a great memory of Rishikesh. And that really ensured that they were dynamically changing the process. They dynamically knew what has to be changed. So, am I bringing that why, with my teams very regularly? And this is okay because what happens is that as a leader, you've got so much to do and team also has so much to do that it's very natural that we might forget the purpose. But this is a very nice reminder. And if it does not happen, then you start seeing, you know, lack of direction, there is no emotional connection. And then if you look back in the beginning where we started, right, you will always start people constantly in the collaboration mode, not in the cooperation or coordination mode, because they really know the purpose of that. And how can you do that is by looking, very some simple practices of starting your meeting by revisiting, the purpose of why we are doing this project, why we are doing this assignment. And I remember when I used to be on the IT side, and when I used to come back from my client location after discussing, I would always talk to them about why are we doing this. So sometimes I would say that the software that you are building now, and I remember it, we are doing it for one of the hospitals in US. And I was saying that it is going to save at least 50,000 incorrect medicines that get delivered if it was manual. Because sometimes, a nurse might just skip a paper and give a wrong medication to the patient, or it might give it to wrong patient. So the moment I tell my team member that you're going to save 50,000 incorrect dosage of medicine, suddenly their attention to the software is very high. They're not no longer building just a software, but they are actually saving lives. That becomes very powerful. So you can look at all these questions on how can you look at the purpose, and when you start doing this, you will start seeing that there is a shared consciousness that starts building up in the team, where everybody in the team has a holistic understanding of the work we do. They build a trust that they collectively want to achieve goals with highest level of collaboration. It's like almost it goes little philosophical here, but essentially the consciousness of people becomes shared, which in I know in the times that we are in, whether we would be able to sustain this is a question in our mind. But if we do this, we will start seeing that even in this turbulent times, and people will still be able to create value for their customers, for their clients. So these are the two things, and the Tolly model that you saw really helps us in that direction. Some of the, I think, crossovers, uh, thing that I have put here together is like we use terms like many arts, one beat. At times in our conversation, we don't talk about just training. We're talking about leadership transformation. So the moment I talk about transformation, it is a very different way of collaboration, and we are building leadership at all levels. So if you want to think about some of these phrases for your own teams, for your own organization, you can do that, including when we do a session like this, we also ask them to create a slogan. What is the slogan for your organization? What is the current purpose that you have put together? Then that it becomes a very nice way to do that part. And I think there are two books that I thought I would share with all of you. Is about the five dysfunctions of the team, and Daniel Pink's Drive. I think you would have already read this. There's one more book which I have not added the screenshot, but it's by Amy Edmondson, The Fearless Organization. So I'll just go back to the model here, and then we can spend some time, kind of, having our call. So I'll just unmute all of you now so that you can unmute yourself and ask me, your thoughts on what have you seen. And like earlier also, you can just like raise your hand and just share with me, any thoughts, any reflections on what we have covered, so far. Or any questions also you can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, Professor Sandeep, please.
So a couple of observations, Yogesh ji. So first of all, very insightful, and thank you for again reminding all of us. And in the years that I've worked, one of the aspects which I found very useful, the hiring right.
Yes,
And if you get the hiring right, half your job is done, because
yes,
then the challenges or the problems that we see in the industry are lesser in number. The
yes,
second is when I observe industry, a lot of the incentive schemes, the variable salary schemes in the CNB framework, they are
yes,
heavily individual centric.
yes,
And somewhere I think there is a big business case for having a significant percentage which is related to the success of the team and the organization. So
yes,
that collectivistic thinking, the collaboration aspects also become ingrained in the way that people are getting compensated.
mm,
And that then is an external, perhaps somewhat of an artificial pressure. Ideally, we would like them to think about this from within. But I
mm,
think within and without both are required in today's mercenary world. So
yeah,
just thought I would share those couple of observations, Yogesh
yeah.
ji.
No, no,
Thank you.
very absolutely. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Yeah, yeah, Vijay, you wanted to share something?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Yogesh, for this session. I got so much of insights. It's very valuable. So
Yes.
this I just want to share a kind of a dilemma, I can say maybe, uh,
Mm-hmm.
of a collaboration coordination scenario, where especially currently what we are facing is everything we need to get the approval from the client. Uh, need some updates or whatever the process scenarios and all, right. So at that situation, generally till like 1 month back, I train my team in such a way they have to be independent, take the decisions and make the conclusions and go ahead with the process, because there is nothing wrong in that. We are there to take care if something goes wrong. But now the problem, what happened, client is mentioning like you being a manager or team leads, whoever are there, you guys have to approve something. Team should not be taking a decision on their own. Even if it is correct, still the approval should be there. Sorry, still the approval should be there. So then I am in such a situation where I have to go back to the team and I am opposing what I have given the decision earlier. Guys, don't take the decision. Please share everything, whatever you guys wanted to, so that we will check, we will approve, and then you go ahead with that. So
Yeah.
this kind of environment, right? It is creating a kind of confusion to the team as well. Like, what is happening? You guys said earlier that, and now you're changing this and again saying. Even I explained, right? Explaining like this is client expectation currently as
Yeah.
a kind of a startup scenario where they have to get the things done and everything. So they're expecting in such a way where nothing goes wrong. But still,
Yeah.
kind of a morale, I can say, or a confidence scenario in that way, or also I can say that is somewhat depreciating. So, if maybe any insights or thoughts on that, maybe like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So Vijay, I think even last time, when I was leading one of our earlier webinars, I think it was on negotiation, I think, and very similar questions came up that, what happens, if the client is negotiating so hard and, trying to cut, like not paying us whatever was due, and how do you trust? I think it was building trust webinar only. And I was telling them that, see, whenever a customer is asking you for certain things, yeah, there is something that is happening in our own organization, which I think we'll have to, find out and share that with the team, So if you say to them that, this is the client expectation, maybe you may want to think about, why is this client saying that, in last 2 to 3 months, when is the time when people decided something and that was not matching with what the client was expecting. Now, if you spend time with the team to first identify that with them together, saying that if the client is asking us that, they need approval for everything, what could be the reason? There is certain reason that the client is not okay with the way we are deciding. So instead of we simply telling that the client is expecting, if we can spend time with the team only to find out, so in this earlier case of that where, you was doing the negotiation, but I said to the, to the participant that, see, whenever a client is not paying you, and trying to cut, your money, there is somewhere there is a dissatisfaction, and this is a reflection of that. If the client is happy, he will never, take that, cut the money part. Now, in this case, Vijay, instead of you telling the people that now again you have to go back with my approval, if you can give this question to them only, saying that, what do you think, why is the client reverted back with this, what have we done in last? And that is, this Tolly model is very powerful, because then you go back and say that, have we, like, so when I say organized working, do you have all the track of what decisions we made, what was the client not happy with? And if you don't create that psychological environment space, right, even in fact with this approach of you telling the team that, now let's go back to where, where we should take the client approval, is actually creating a psychological safe environment, because now the people will say that it is better to, only do what Vijay is telling. Let's not think about any new ideas. They will stop demonstrating. And this on one side.
Right,
Other,
right.
on the other side, you can go and talk to the client also, saying that, uh, I think that you are like not happy with the decision that we have made in last 2 to 3 months, and we have no problem in coming back to you for approval. But just that, two things will happen. If we come to you always, then we will lose some time in doing that process. Secondly, the team will always not be contributing with the same enthusiasm that we have done. So can you also share with us? So a combination of these two together can be very powerful. Yeah. And I can tell you, Vijay, many a times, like, clients, I mean, I'm also in similar work, and there are times when clients have asked us to do certain things in which we were not convinced about. And we really, tried to put our case in front of the client and saying that, no, this process is really going to be important, I mean, valuable for our working. Can you allow us to do that part? And that has helped quite a bit. In fact, that created a very big confidence in the team's mind that, whatever we are doing is getting valued, even though in short run the client was saying no, but eventually they started saying, I think Vijay's team, let's listen to what they are saying. Yeah. And maybe you should look at the L part also, leveraging the right talent. Maybe sometimes it so happens that the team who is also communicating to the customer may not be communicating the way I think it should be communicated. So can you leverage the talent who is going to communicate, so that you can do that part. And the last is the purpose. Are the team aligned to the purpose that they are doing? Otherwise they'll just be like robots type. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, sure, Yogesh. Thanks for that. We'll try that.
Yeah, please, yeah, sure. Thank you so much, I think, Vijay, for asking this question. I think we are just about 10 minutes left to the session. There is a very nice WhatsApp group that we have created over so many years. And if you can join that, there is a link that Priyanka had shared in the chat here. So you can click on that. That will help you to join the group. In the group, you will always keep getting updated about the webinar that we do every 2 months, so that you don't miss out on them. And anything that you need from our side, any programs you can see on our website also, or anything that you like, that you would like us to run for your organization, please let us know also. Yeah. So any other thoughts, anything that you guys want to share before we close for today? Hmm?
Hello. Hi,
Yeah,
Mr. Yogesh.
yeah, Shilakshmi.
Hi. That was a great session indeed. Sorry, my bad throat. Excuse me for that.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
We are into IT services as well as recruitment services.
Yes.
So now, when a lot of experts have been talking about hiring talent, okay, and that's the major part of your high performance teams, building teams.
Yes.
And when it comes to the high performance consulting firms like us have to collaborate with the client's vision in terms of building these so-called high performance teams.
Yes.
We have to go and explore their ideologies, their standard of hiring, and everything. So,
Yes.
back in the days, the hiring process was different. But when you are planning to build high performance teams for the clients, what kind of collaboration is definitely required? I'm talking about the collaboration instead of coordination and this one. Uh, so, we would like to bring in more insights about this collaboration.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so if you, I mean, get a chance, there is, there are two, webinar that you want to watch on my website. One is account management and growth. And there is a, which I'm also covering the consultative part. So if you go and see that, I did that for NASCOM. It's a live session which is recorded and they're on our website, So although, so don't go by the title, go by the content inside that, because in that I have like given two frameworks called CPAC and READ model, which if you read, you will be able to very systematically go inside the customer organization to know, what they are, built up of, and then accordingly you can kind of tweak your approach to suit them. Because here what is happening is your important element is knowing the world of the customer and then creating the solution that is consultative based on what you have and what the customer needs.
Definitely,
It's
definitely agree with
very
you.
powerful. You can take a look at that. Two programs can be very powerful.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you, Mr. Yogesh.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So good. Thank you so much for joining, and uh, I think I look forward to you seeing you guys again. Many of you have been coming very regularly. So thank you so much, Padma. Some last word before we close for today's session.
Yeah, just wanted to check with you, Yogesh. In terms of the traditional organizations and the organizations that we've been working with, there's a
Yes,
certain model that has been prevalent. But in these current times, there are a lot of these GCCs that are getting set up.
yes, yes,
And do you see any nuances, any differences in terms of the requirements of these GCCs,
yes,
either from an operating model or from the way in which the parent organization expects the GCC to work? Is there
yes.
any observation that you would like to
Ve-
share?
I mean, Padma, very good question and very relevant to today's time. So absolutely, I was in Chennai. We were just launched a program for a Danish company, and you can see the gap between the Indian leaders who are managing from India, because the expectation of the GCC now is that it is no longer ODC. When I was in Wipro, we used to call it ODC, which is Offshore Development Center. Now that is got converted to GCC, which is Global Capability Center, which means that companies are expecting that the GCC will be like some of the GCCs I am working closely. The head of marketing is sitting in India and doing the marketing worldwide. Earlier, the marketing head would sit in some the country of the parent and they would just give direction to do the back-end marketing stuff. Now the entire marketing runs from India. So that means that the whole way that we were working traditionally has to change, because you're now dealing with, so this company that I'm talking about has got 65 country offices, and the leaders who are operating from here, they are basically doing the IT part of this Denmark company. So every country where there is IT, these people are going to interact. Now, the challenge the customer shared with me is that the leaders that we have today have to go to that global level, which means that they have to start working at that level, which means that starting with all that we talked about, even the communication, the experience working with them, their cultural nuances, when you look at those diverse talent. And while the work may get happen, in high performance is not just about working for 8 hours. They should enjoy the time they're working, because you're no longer just operating with the earlier processes, right? Almost every other day, you have to come up with a new process, new approach. That can't come if you're not enjoying your work. Like in factories, like even if my dad used to work in a cotton mill, I remember in my childhood, he had no problem. Just go do the same stuff, come back in the evening, next day again same stuff. Today, my son, who is in a healthcare products company, in just last 1 year, they have like completely revamped the product, which means that every 3 weeks he's thinking something new. Now, if he's not passionate about that product and not passionate showing the conversing with the client, how will you build that product? So people have to create that enthusiasm on in an environment where we are not sure whether I'll be having my job or not. Like one of my clients are now getting acquired by another company. So the HR tells me that I don't even know that I'm going to be here or not. And we are running a program in middle of the program. Can you imagine? So, and as a facilitator, I have to deal with it's public news. Okay, there is nothing hidden about it. But how do you manage when they know that I'm not very sure about that? But my point to these people is that what choice do we have anyway, right? So instead of getting too worried about what will happen to me, the time that I am in, can I take that learning experience? Can I enjoy that change also? That doesn't matter. Yeah, and maybe there could be a experience that you can take back to other organizations. So if you can develop that attitude, and psychological safety is a very important element of this whole journey as we go along. So yeah, that's my thinking around that. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. I think we are right at 2 minutes to go to 5:30. So thank you once again, Richard. Thanks everybody for coming. And then this recording will get uploaded on our website by tomorrow. So feel free to share this with any of the people you know who would find this valuable. And thanks again. Yeah. See you in our next bi-monthly webinar. So you haven't decided a topic yet, but I'll put something which is very relevant to all of you. Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Yogesh ji.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Uma. Bye.